The ballroom sparkled with soft gold light, filled with laughter and music. Everyone was dressed in their best gowns, tuxedos, champagne glasses raised high. It was a celebration, a night to remember. Belle stood near the back of the room, quiet in a soft blue dress that barely caught the light. She smiled gently, hands clasped in front of her. She didn't like crowds, but she had learned how to blend in. Derek stood at the front, his smile wide and confident. People hung on his every word. He wore a tailored black suit, shiny shoes, and the look of a man who had made it. He held up his glass. "To love," he said. The room cheered. "To growth." More cheers. Then he looked back at Belle and laughed. "And to the woman who stood by me when I had nothing. Honestly, I was sleeping in my car. She fed me, believed in me, edited my pitch decks. But let's be real, she's not wife material." The room broke into loud laughter. Some people looked over at Belle, unsure if it was okay to laugh, but the crowd followed Derek's lead. Brielle's smile didn't break, but something behind her eyes did. She laughed too, a soft, fake laugh, and took a sip of water. Later that night, after the party ended and the guests left, Derek passed out on the couch, still half-dressed, his phone buzzing with congratulations. Belle moved quietly through the house. Her hands shook as she packed a small overnight bag, a few clothes, her journal, a photo of her mother. She didn't cry. She took one last look around the home she had helped him build, from an empty studio apartment to this luxury condo. She had painted walls, paid bills, cooked meals, stayed up late listening to him dream. 5 years of her life, packed into silence. Then she opened the door and stepped into the night. It was quiet outside. The city lights blinked in the distance. She walked down the street, alone. For the first time in a long time, her footsteps felt like her own. Belle grew up in a small apartment in Atlanta with her mom. Her mom worked long hours as a nurse, and Belle learned early how to take care of herself and others. She cooked dinner, helped neighbors, and always did her best to be the good girl. She didn't ask for much. She knew how hard life could be. In college, Belle fell in love with writing. Poetry was her safe space, a place where she could be honest. She wrote about love, pain, and small moments that felt big to her. But money was tight, so she worked part-time as a barista to pay for books and rent. That's when she met Derek. He was sitting at the back table of the coffee shop, headphones on, tired eyes. She asked if he wanted a refill. He looked up, smiled, and said, "Only if it comes with good luck." They talked. He told her he was trying to start a tech business, but was sleeping in his car. She brought him sandwiches. He shared his ideas. They became a team. Belle edited his pitch decks, helped him practice for investor meetings, and stayed up late researching for him. She gave him money for gas, let him shower at her place, and reminded him that he was worth something even when no one else believed it. When his company finally took off, he promised they would grow together. He started making real money, buying suits, traveling for meetings. She stayed home, paying bills, keeping things calm. Slowly, something changed. He stopped asking for her opinion. He made jokes about her clothes, her hair, her simple taste. He said things like, "You're too emotional," or "You don't think big enough." He upgraded his car, his friends, his lifestyle, but not her. Belle tried harder. She told herself, maybe I'm the problem. Maybe I need to be more ambitious, more polished, more something. She tucked her poems into drawers and stopped talking about them. The woman who once filled notebooks with verses now filled grocery lists and tracked receipts. The love they had was still there, she thought, just buried under stress and success. But deep down, she knew. He didn't see her the same way anymore. And worse, she didn't see herself the same way either. Now, months after leaving Derek, Belle lives in a tiny studio in Brooklyn. It's not fancy, a twin bed, a desk, and a kitchen the size of a closet, but it's hers. She works at a small publishing house, answering phones, sorting mail, and sending author payments. It's not her dream job, but she's learning. Sometimes, when no one is looking, she scribbles poems in the margins of invoices and notebooks. Just a few lines at a time, small pieces of herself coming back. She doesn't have much, but she has peace. And after everything, that feels like a miracle. It started as a joke, or at least that's what Belle told herself when her coworker, Jada, handed her a flyer during lunch break. "You should enter," Jada said, chewing her salad. "It's perfect for you." Belle looked at the paper. Voices of the Unheard, a national spoken word competition, presented by PBS. She laughed nervously. "That's sweet, but I don't really perform. I just write." Jada raised an eyebrow. "You write fire. I've read your stuff on those scraps of paper you try to throw away. Submit one. Do it anonymously if you want." That night, Belle sat at her desk with a cup of tea. The city lights blinked outside her window. She stared at her notebook, heart pounding. Then she wrote. The poem poured out like something she had held in for too long. Every word sharp, honest, aching. She called it, "I Wasn't Wife Material." The title came straight from Derek's mouth. She didn't overthink it, didn't rewrite. She typed it up, created a fake email, and submitted it with shaking hand. Then she closed her laptop and tried to forget about it. Weeks passed. Then months. One Tuesday afternoon, while at work organizing book returns, her phone rang. The number had a Washington, D.C. area code. Hello. Hi, is this Brielle Thomas? Yes. This is Emma Grady, producer for Voices of the Unheard on PBS. I'm calling with some incredible news. Your poem is one of 5 finalists. We would love for you to come perform it live for the national broadcast in D.C. next month. Brielle froze. She felt her throat tighten. Wait. Are you sure? Emma laughed gently. We're very sure. Your poem hit us hard. It's brave. It's important. Panic rushed in. Her hands started to sweat. I've never performed. Not on stage. I'm not a real poet. Emma's voice softened. Brielle, you already are. That night, Brielle sat on the edge of her bed, holding her phone in both hands. Fear curled in her chest. What if she messed up? What if people laughed? What if he saw it? But another voice, quiet and steady, whispered inside her. You've already survived worse. She said yes. The next few weeks were a blur of nerves. She practiced in front of mirrors, choking on lines that cut too close. Sometimes she cried in the middle. Sometimes she stood taller. She watched YouTube videos of spoken word artists, studying their rhythm, their courage. Her poem felt like a wound, but also a weapon. When the contest weekend arrived, she took the early train to D.C. Her suitcase rattled behind her. She wore simple jeans, a notebook in her bag, her heart beating fast. At the hotel check-in, she met the other finalists, polished, confident, experienced. One girl had already done 2 TEDx talks. Another had just signed a book deal. Brielle smiled politely and kept to herself. That night, in the bathroom of her hotel room, she stood in front of the mirror under the harsh white light. She whispered the poem out loud. I wasn't wife material. That's what he said. Not pretty enough. Not loud enough. Not bright enough to shine beside him. Just enough to carry him, then too dull to keep. Her voice cracked. Her hands shook. But she kept going. She was scared, but something deeper than fear was growing inside her. She was ready. The morning of rehearsal, the producers asked Brielle to come in early for a short interview. We want to give the audience a little bit of your story, one of them said kindly. It makes the poem even more powerful. Brielle nodded slowly. Okay. They asked gentle questions at first, about her writing, her job, where she grew up. Then they asked if she had any photos to help tell the story. Brielle paused. I don't really take many photos. The next day, when she arrived on set, a production assistant pulled her aside. We found some old public Instagram photos. We might include them, just for visuals. Hope that's all right. The screen behind him showed a slideshow preview. One photo was of Brielle and Derek at a small table, birthday cake between them. She looked happy. He looked like a man in charge. Brielle's chest tightened. Yeah, that's fine, she whispered, though it didn't feel fine at all. Word must have spread quickly. That afternoon, her phone buzzed. A direct message from Derek. Derek, just saw what you're doing. Take it down. This is bitter and beneath you. I supported you too, you know. Brielle stared at the screen. Her fingers hovered over the reply button, but she didn't answer. Still, the message echoed in her head all evening. Bitter. Beneath you. She practiced in the hotel bathroom again, door locked, poem held tight in her hands like a lifeline. Her reflection looked different now, tired, nervous, unsure. Her voice wavered as she spoke the lines. Sometimes she had to stop and sit on the floor just to breathe. Later that night, all the finalists were invited to a small rehearsal dinner. The room buzzed with energy. The others were laughing, talking about past shows, agents, podcasts. Brielle sat at the end of the table, quiet, her fork moving food around her plate. A contestant named Sasha, wearing a sleek red dress, leaned in with a tight smile. So, this your first time performing? She asked sweetly. Brielle nodded. Yeah. Sasha tilted her head. That's brave. Spoken word is vulnerable. You gotta own the stage. Just wondering, are you sure you belong up there? The words hit like a slap, even though they were wrapped in fake kindness. Brielle swallowed hard. I think so, she said quietly. Sasha just smiled and turned back to her wine. Back in her hotel room, Brielle couldn't sleep. She curled up under the covers, staring at the ceiling. All the old doubts came rushing back. You're not enough. You don't shine. You're too soft. You don't belong. Tears filled her eyes. She grabbed her phone and called her mom. Her mom answered on the second ring. Brielle tried to speak, but her voice broke. I don't know if I can do this. There was silence for a moment. Then her mom said, calm and clear, yes, you can. You didn't survive everything you did just to hide now. Brielle closed her eyes. Her mom kept talking. You didn't leave that man, move across the country, and build your life from scraps just to let one bad memory keep you small. You have something to say. So say it. Brielle wiped her face with the corner of the blanket. What if I mess up? Then you'll do it with your head high, her mom said. But baby, I don't think you will. The call ended, and Brielle sat in the quiet. She looked at her poem again, fingers running over the words she had once been too afraid to speak. She stood up, walked to the mirror. This time, she didn't shake when she read it out loud. Her voice was clear, strong. Tomorrow, the whole world would hear it. And for the first time in a long time, she was ready. The lights in the theater dimmed. A hush fell over the crowd. Brielle stood behind the curtain, her hands cold, her heart racing. A stagehand gave her a small nod. "You're up." She stepped onto the stage. The world went quiet. The spotlight found her. She blinked once, then twice, her eyes adjusting to the brightness. She couldn't see the audience, just shadows. She took one slow breath. Then she began. Her voice started low but steady. "I loved a man who said I was soft. Too soft. Like softness was a flaw. Like gentleness was weakness. Like calm wasn't power." The room stayed silent, listening, holding its breath. She took a step forward. Her voice grew stronger. "He said I didn't shine enough, didn't want enough, didn't fight loud enough. He said I wasn't wife material." She paused there, let the words settle. A few gasps in the crowd. She kept going. "I held his dreams like glass. Careful not to drop them. Careful not to outshine them. I shrank myself until I barely fit in my own skin. He told his friends I was loyal. But what he meant was, I didn't leave, even when I should have. I smiled through jokes that cut me, smiled through silence, smiled through being erased." Her hands moved gently as she spoke, her rhythm rising and falling like a song. "He said I was bitter when I finally spoke. But it's not bitterness. It's truth. And it's mine." She looked out into the lights, her chin lifted. "Turns out, I'm not wife material. I'm something rarer. I'm a woman who survived you." For a second, there was no sound, just stillness. Then the crowd rose as one. Applause thundered. Some people were crying. Others shouted her name. Backstage, producers were already on phone. A reporter called out, "Brielle, can we talk to you for PBS NewsHour?" Another asked, "Can we get a statement for the Washington Post?" Someone handed her a bottle of water. Another person gave her a hug. In her pocket, her phone buzzed nonstop. On Twitter, she was trending. #WifeMaterialGoddess. Clips of her performance were already being shared. Thousands of views. Tens of thousands. Meanwhile, in a hotel bar across the city, Derek stared at a TV screen. He had just ordered a drink when the host on the screen said, "Coming up next, a viral moment from tonight's PBS spoken word competition. A finalist's poem titled, I Wasn't Wife Material." Then her face filled the screen. Derek's jaw tightened. The bartender glanced at him, confused. His phone buzzed again. Dozens of messages. Business partners. Sponsors. Old friends. "You seeing this? Yikes. You're getting dragged hard, bro. This doesn't look good for your brand." One by one, his social media accounts lit up with comments. People were unfollowing, calling him out, reposting old photos, old tweets. An email popped up from one of his brand partners. "In light of recent public concerns, we're ending our relationship, effective immediately." He stared at the screen. For the first time in years, Derek was speechless. And Brielle, miles away, wrapped in bright stage lights and louder applause than she'd ever known, was finally being heard. A week after the performance, Brielle got an email from a well-known publishing house. They loved her poem. They wanted to offer her a book deal, not just for that one piece, but for a full collection of her poetry. She sat at her small desk in Brooklyn, hands shaking, tears in her eyes. She didn't shout. She didn't dance. She just breathed, long and deep. She said yes. Within months, her spoken word video had millions of views. Celebrities reposted it. Teachers played it in classrooms. One high school in Chicago created a lesson plan around it. Then came the Netflix call. They were making a documentary about women's voices in modern poetry. They wanted her to be part of it. She filmed interviews, read her work in quiet gardens and busy parks. Always calm, always herself. With the money from her book deal, she bought her mom a house in Savannah, with a little porch and a lemon tree in the yard. Her mom cried when she saw it. "You didn't have to do this," she whispered. "I wanted to," Brielle said. "You always gave me what you could. Now it's my turn." She didn't move back to Atlanta. Instead, she stayed in Brooklyn and started a small foundation to help young women who felt overlooked. She named it Power in Plainness. She held writing workshops in libraries, community centers, and schools. Girls came in shy, unsure. They left with notebooks full of poems and heads held higher. Sometimes they asked her, "How did you get strong?" She would smile and say, "I didn't get strong. I just stopped pretending I wasn't." One afternoon, months later, she got a text from an unknown number. "Derek, can we talk? Just for closure." She stared at the message for a long time, then closed her phone. Later that night, she wrote him a letter. "You made me believe silence was safety, but my voice was the exit door. You thought I'd stay quiet. Instead, I spoke and walked through it." She folded the letter and placed it in a drawer. She never sent it. She didn't need to. Her joy now was quiet, steady. It lived in the sound of young girls reading their first poems out loud. It lived in her mother's laugh on the phone. It lived in her own reflection, softer than most, but never weak. She had rebuilt her life one word at a time, and every word belonged to her. The bookstore was quiet, filled with the soft hum of voices and the rustle of pages. Brielle sat behind a small table, a neat stack of books beside her. A sign above her read, "Book Signing, Brielle Thomas, author of Wife Material." Her pen moved slowly, carefully, as she signed each copy with a smile. Some people asked for a photo. Some just said thank you and walked away, eyes wide. Then a girl stepped forward. She looked about 16, her hands shaking slightly as she held the book to her chest. Her eyes were red. Brielle looked up and gave her a kind smile. "Hi." The girl opened her mouth, but no words came out at first. Then finally she whispered, "Your words, they saved me." Brielle stood. She didn't say anything right away, just pulled the girl into a gentle hug. They held each other for a long second. Then Brielle sat back down and opened the book to the title page. She wrote slowly, her handwriting soft and sure. "To the next woman who refuses to be erased." She handed the book back, their eyes meeting again. "Keep writing," Brielle said softly. "Even if no one's listening yet." The girl nodded, holding the book like something precious. As she walked away, the camera slowly zoomed in on the cover, black and gold letters shining under the bookstore lights. Wife Material. And this time the words meant power. Hey besties, thanks so much for watching till the end. Brielle's journey from heartbreak to healing proves that your voice is your power. If this story moved you, don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe for more emotional drama-packed tales. You never know whose story is next. It might even be yours. See you in the next one. Bye.